Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. A disappointing end to our pre-season ends with Atletico Madrid beating Manchester City 2-1. There are multiple ways you can look at this. There are going to be different opposing angles you can approach this result. You can obviously apply the it's only pre-season, it doesn't matter logic. I think there's an element of that involved. There's an element of there were performances that weren't quite up to scratch. I think there were a few performances that weren't so good that regardless of pre-season they should be doing better. And then sometimes you might just have to hold your hands up to Atletico Madrid, in particular their two goals. Their goals were fantastic goals, really well taken goals, good build-up play. But they came from Ruben Diaz's mistake, namely, and City dilly-dallying on the ball in the other end of the pitch. But before I get into any more nitty-gritty detail of the game itself, I want to thank everyone for joining me in the watch-along that I've just done with everybody. I wasn't, again, surprised as much as I was last time at the turnout. So it's really, really good to see so many of you guys joining me in the watch along and talking with me and getting to know me, and I get to know a lot of you. I'm seeing names that I'm recognising now and I'm associating personalities with those names. It's good. I like to get to know the Blues out there that are interested in talking about City and watching the games with me. And it's been fun, it's been good, and I hope you've enjoyed it too, and it was good to see so many of you. So I hope if you're new to the channel or you've not gone to a watch long, you can come for the next one. It will be fun and we'll enjoy ourselves. And hopefully we fucking win. That's the main thing. We've got to win. Arsenal next, that's a big one. And you're probably going to see a different side to me because it's competitive. I've got my pre-season hat on. So, I'll take that off for Community Shield against Arsenal. I'm going to be guns blazing for that game. It's going to be taken very seriously, regardless of whether you want to call it pre-season or not. But today's game, the headline's probably disappointing because I think there were a few performances that were a bit lackluster. I think the overall game came down to mentality of the two sides. Now, clearly, Diego Simeone sent them out with rockets up their backsides, fiery, feisty, and tenacious, and demanding a high standard of work ethic and performances and gunning for us. They were in the referee's face. Aspilicueta and Grealish were locking horns from the get-go. Grealish got caught up in the battle, and he often loses those battles. When his head's gone, Grealish's head can genuinely go, and his performance can decline as a result. He needs to stay focused, and it seems like a tactic to get to Grealish is poke him, wind him up, pull his shirt, pull his hair, and if you can get to him, his performance tends to suffer as a result. So he needs to keep his head, and Aspilicueta definitely got to him. You saw, and he wasn't the only one. De Paul in the second half was just constantly in the referee's face, kicking players left, right and centre. And I think the highlight out of this is coming out of this game injury-free. Now, if you go into a game 80% or 90%, like because you're in pre-season mode and you're playing against Atletico Madrid, who don't seem to have a pre-season mode, they seem to want to kick the shit out of you no matter what time of year it is, and probably had an air of revenge in their system, the way they were playing, remembering that knockout game where Savic and Grealish came together. Foden and Zinchenko were involved in that particular situation where we knocked them out, and it was a horrible, horrible game that was like genuinely ding ding round 2 today. I think they saw it as, and as a result, I think they came out and they wanted it more, quite literally wanted it more, and they got it as a result. So, I don't think we'd go into that game in a Champions League game with that mentality. I think we went in pre-season mode, and I think that's why we lost today. I don't think it was because we were outrageously bad or anything. They just really wanted it, and they defended valiantly. Now, the only thing they didn't have to defend valiantly, they didn't have to do high-quality defending, is because our attacking potency was so laboured going forward. The final third was a big, big problem for us. Even with our full-strength team in the first half, the creativity wasn't there. We weren't creating clear-cut chances. The crosses that we were committing to were from really deep areas. We weren't getting wide enough. Walker wasn't playing in a very unusual position. He was playing wide, often as like a right wing-back, like hybrid right winger, like sometimes as a centre-back. It was a much more fluid system than I was predicting. That this is the starting 11 I predicted that you can see on your screen right now, and I don't think it's anything like that. Walker wasn't really a defensive centre-back. He was very much as the wide player, and more often than not, we didn't have a right winger at times as Walker was tucked in. Grealish was a very left-sided player, and he stuck to that side. He never really was asked to come into centre-back like Kyle Walker was, so it was an unbalanced feel to the formation. Doesn't always mean it'll be a bad formation, because maybe it's unbalanced and heavy on one side because there's a weakness on that side of the opposition, which is why Pep might have focused on that particular side. I just felt like the wide play was up for grabs on both sides of the pitch today, and the crosses that were coming in were from such deep areas. The amount of times we saw Haaland looking at the ball going over his head, or deflected past him, or looking at the first man and the ball was hitting the first man, and he's like, well, put a decent cross in and I might have a chance. And I think that a lot of our attacking came through poor crosses today. Whereas, you talk about KDB in the chat, someone mentioned Cancelo is our most creative player. He might not be wrong in terms of delivery, in actual crossing ability into the box. First good cross of the game, Gomez's corner. Whipped in, good cross, into the dangerous area where there are City shirts. Ruben Diaz, bang, good goal. Really good corner play, good cross. It all comes from the cross, and you can only be as good as the cross. The finish can only be as good as the cross, and it smelt like that today. It felt like a frustrated performance, going up against a wall of Atletico Madrid players that wanted it more. And I think it boiled down to that. I thought Ruben Diaz, albeit he scored, he was at fault for their first goal with Memphis Depay. He had an opportunity to clear it. Ortega pulled off a couple of really good saves in the second half. One off the line from a corner, which I think it was Lamar or Lino who struggled to actually get anything decent onto it, but it was still heading in the net. Off the line. One for the cameras, that one, but still, good save, pokes it away, good save. Second one, another good save, more straight at him, but he gets it away, goes over there for the corner, and you think, right, City have got the chance now. Ortega's good save, shape up again, get back in defence, sort your line out, and get in positions. And they didn't do that. And they allowed Memphis Depay to drift into the box, 1-2 with Correa, first time finish, and the finish from Memphis Depay was class. What a goal that was, right into the bottom corner. Really good goal from them. Frustrating that we allowed that build-up play to even happen, though. We shouldn't be allowing him to just drift back in after we've just received the warning from the incoming shot. But no, I mean, ultimately it was a disappointing watch, a bit of maybe a wake-up call is the thing you want to take away from this. Because it's pre-season, you have to factor in that every time. That's always the caveat with a bad result in pre-season is it was pre-season. So you wanted to get 3 out of 3, and I mean, if you look at let's have a look at the actual team and go through each player. I thought Ederson didn't have much to do. A couple of nice passes through the middle. Walker was good. That shot, by the way, Jesus Christ. I could watch that all day, man. Imagine. I mean, even he laughed at himself. He was like, did I do that? Like, what was that? Like, I didn't realise that he could do such a thing. But yeah, he can. What a fucking screamer. And rockets off the bar. So unlucky. If that goes in... We're looking at goal of the season in pre-season already. Ridiculous effort. What a shot that was. Stones was caught on the ball a little bit. Not quite as a dominant performance. He was good. He was okay, composed. I think Diaz was solid until the mistake. He was good until the mistake. There was a couple of nice tackles from both Stones and Diaz, and Laporte as well. And maybe the odd time with the build-up play was a little bit disjointed between Ederson, Laporte, Diaz and Stones, and sometimes it was Ederson's one bad pass can make the next player have a bad pass as a result. So there were a couple of moments like that, but nothing really dangerous than like let's panic about our build-up player. Nothing like that. Just a bit rusty. I think Rodri was okay. Bernardo Silva was lively. Again, all of them had opportunities to cross, and nearly every player on the pitch in the front 5 or 6 players had opportunities to cross. And virtually every single one of them put a bad cross in. Bar Haaland, who didn't have to cross the ball at all. He's just the frustrated figure in the middle of the park who's watching balls not go near him. Feed the man. Give him good crosses and he'll score. And that's a lot of our play broke down today. Alvarez put himself about. He was man-marked a lot of the time. So Unchi was on him. Absolutely on him, and got himself booked at the end of the game as well because he clattered him. And another example, the number of yellow cards in the game is an indication of how Atletico Madrid approached the game. Phillips got City's only yellow card, I believe, with a bit of a crunching tackle. I think Phillips coming on was poor, and I really want him to be good, man. I'm not trying to hit on the guy hard, but he was poor. Every end product of his was poor. There was one of the crosses that was just like, No one was there. There's another cross to nobody. One of the worst crosses of the game. It was nobody. And the ball was landing at his feet and he didn't seem like he really wanted it. You know, he wasn't demanding the ball. Kovacic comes on. He's like, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball at his feet. And even if he made a mistake, he actually missed an opportunity to make it 1-0. Kovacic should be hitting the target from so close. He volleys it over the bar. That would have made it 1-0, but he ballooned his chance. But after that, he didn't shrink, didn't hide, showed for the ball. Demanded it. Give me the ball and I'll try and beat a few players or pass it. And I like that confidence about him. I think Calvin Phillips is just lacking confidence. You know, I want to see him grow in a City shirt. And performances like that are not going to help him. They're not going to help him at all. They're not going to help his cause. And they're not going to add any longevity to his Manchester City career, unfortunately. And I hope I'm not seeing the start of the end for him with a performance like that. I hope this is just like over the course of next season, I hope we see more. We need to see more from Calvin Phillips. But who else? Rico Lewis came on, lively as usual. Good, not as good as against Bayern Munich. The performance against Bayern Munich was a real noteworthy standout performance, but not quite as impactful today coming onto the pitch. But again, you're coming on. It's a different, you're being asked a different role when you're brought on as an impact substitution. And seeing the whole game's kind of swung when we brought on 10 players, they brought on 10 players. And the game changed. And it changed in favour of Atletico at that point. But their second string looked better than our second string. When they went 50-50 and both teams had made all the changes, they looked like more likely to score than we did. McAtee, with a couple of times he received the ball, you want him to be a bit braver with it, try and do something a little bit more creative. He played it simple, which is okay at times. We need that. When you're 2-0 down, you need to be braver. You need to create something. Playing it simple is for 0-0 and 1-0 up, 2-0 up. When you're winning and you're drawing, that's for keeping it simple. When you're losing 2-0, you need to be a bit braver on the ball, try something different, try and beat a player, try and find a bit more of a creative pass. He was receiving the ball at the left wing and he didn't dare take on his fullback. Quite often just played it simple. Bit overly critical there because I think, he must have nerves running through him like we wouldn't believe, trying to impress Pep Guardiola and get a place in the first team of Manchester City. Unbearable nerves must have been running through him, so you got to forgive him for that. You got to forgive him, but next time maybe be a little bit more creative. Haaland, frustrated figure, couldn't do much. A couple of moments, a couple of 1-2s. He had a blocked shot. Rico Lewis had a blocked shot as well. Both Soyuncu was really good. I never saw him play like that against in a Leicester shirt. Never saw him play like that. But really good from Soyuncu. And blocked the Rico Lewis shot as well in the second half that looked goal bound as well. And then he went and skinned him. He chased his own tackle and then skinned Rico Lewis and won a free kick. So never saw him doing that in the Premier League, but never mind. We didn't see Ake or De Bruyne, so hopefully will we see them against Arsenal, because KDB will destroy Arsenal. It seems to be a given. He is the voodoo doll of Arsenal, and he keeps sticking pins in the Arsenal badge and destroying that football club single-handedly, Kevin De Bruyne. So hopefully he's fit. I can't see him playing now, because he didn't get any minutes today. I can't see him just being thrown in at the deep end against Arsenal, having not played a single minute throughout pre-season. Cole Palmer is the other one, again, apparently on the bench. I never physically saw him. I never saw him come onto the pitch. Oscar Bob was okay. Again, difficult to impress in such a short window. Did a couple of okay things, nothing outlandish or anything like that. But Cole Palmer, you're wondering now, where's his future? Is he at City? Is he at Brighton on loan? You're wondering, is that involving the whole Mara situation? Sounds likely. But Blues, are you disappointed? Are you okay? Do you feel mixed feelings? I personally have mixed feelings about the game. I think ultimately it's pre-season, but at the same time there's plenty of things to keep an eye on. A little bit worrisome. Don't want to fearmonger the whole situation because it isn't the end of the world. It is pre-season, and we've had worse pre-seasons than this and gone on to do unbelievable things. So fear not. Nothing to worry about. Just a little pre-season game. Check that one out. Arsenal's the one we want to focus on, and that'll really showcase any cracks in the armour. We'll see them against Arsenal. Anything that's worth noting about and quality going forward, we'll also see that against Arsenal. So get in the live stream for the Arsenal game. I'll appreciate that. Get in the comments below for this video, and I'll appreciate that. Like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now.